Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's Waffle Wednesday here at KXAN, and it's just a great day to even have this awesome conversation about weather and cookies with our KXAN meteorologist Kristen Currie. Kristen, thanks so much for being here. How are you doing on this Wednesday morning?
Pretty good. I'm excited because this is, I think, a fun topic surrounding weather and the impacts that a lot of us can definitely get behind.
So let's jump right into it. I know it has to do with cookies, but what about the cookies?
Yes. So the backstory is I received an email from Charles. Charles is a KXAN viewer. He lives here in Austin. And this was last week when we were dealing with the 107s, 109s, that intense heat of most of last week. In fact, that started early in the week and lasted all the way through Friday. But within that week, Charles was able to successfully bake cookies on the dashboard of his truck. So here they are. You can see the towel underneath and then the cookie sheets laid out with the peanut butter cookies on top. And here's how they finished. He wrote in and said 4 hours. It took 4 hours for those little balls of cookie dough to turn into full-blown peanut butter cookies. So he did it successfully.
Delicious.
I know. You look it up. And as you can see clearly, the bottom of them, they're done.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see that if there is any silver lining to 107-degree temperatures, it's the fact that you can bake cookies in this heat. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about why is it so much hotter inside a car than outside, especially when we're looking at, 100, 105, 110 temperatures? Well, it has to do with radiation. So this is from NASA. We're talking about shortwave versus long-wave radiation. So kind of taking you back to the textbook here. Our sun puts out shortwave radiation. Once that shortwave radiation enters through our atmosphere, that the several miles of atmosphere we have on top of the surface, that shortwave radiation gets absorbed sometimes into the ground. Sometimes it can be reflected off of things like snow or high clouds or even the puffy clouds. But when that shortwave radiation gets absorbed into the ground, it then gets re-emitted as long-wave radiation. So the shortwave radiation from the sun are those yellow arrows. And the long wave radiation that's being re-emitted by the earth is that red arrow there. Now, when you apply this to the car, the shortwave radiation from the sun is getting through those glass windows of our vehicle. But sometimes that long wave radiation that's being re-emitted from our steering wheel, from the car seats and the dashboard, it gets trapped inside our vehicle. Just like here on Earth, the clouds can act to trap that long wave radiation, right? It's a lot warmer down here closer to the ground than it is a couple miles up off of the ground into the atmosphere. So it's the same principles, and this might ring a bell when we say and call it the greenhouse gas effect, right? The greenhouse effect. When you're seeing that shortwave radiation from the sun enter through the atmosphere, it gets re-emitted by Earth, but some of that gets trapped. Now, when we talk about climate change, it's the fact that we're adding more of those molecules and those chemicals in our atmosphere that continue to trap and absorb that heat that's being re-emitted from the earth. So when you apply it to different circumstances, in this case, it would be the cookies, right? Where that shortwave radiation is coming into Charles's truck, but then when the car is starting to emit it back as long wave radiation, it's getting caught, it's getting trapped in, you're going to see those hotter temperatures inside that vehicle that, can obviously be hot enough to bake cookies in 4 hours.
Wow, that's amazing. And I wonder what he thought of when he decided, let me go put some cookies in my car to bake them.
I know. And I've seen this on social media too. People not only baking cookies in their car, but trying it to fry an egg on the sidewalk, right? It's the same principle. That shortwave radiation coming in and being absorbed by the earth, and then the earth radiating it back as long-wave radiation. And that's why it's sometimes so hot down near the ground. Whereas you climb up in elevation, you're going to see some cooler temperatures. But I just thought this was such a teachable moment because you can apply it to things like that radiation coming into the car getting trapped because that heat has a harder time escaping through the glass. Same principle, same, scientific principle as our earth, of that sun warming the earth, but it having a harder time, that heat having a harder time escape with some of the clouds. That's also why technically I wouldn't say always, but most of the time when we have a cloudy sky at nighttime, our morning temperatures the following day tend to be a little bit warmer because we see less heat escape overnight. The clouds kind of keep us nice and cozy underneath.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense when I get in my car and I touch the steering wheel and it's burning hot.
And you know, it says some of the studies done by the National Weather Service say if the temperature is about 100 degrees outside, the inside can warm to 120 degrees within a few minutes. Within an hour of being parked in direct sunshine, when it's 100 degrees outside, your temperature can get up to 150. So, you know, there is the serious and more dangerous side to this, and that's the fact that we can see some very dangerous conditions with anybody and everybody left in a vehicle in direct sunshine, especially in the summertime. We unfortunately have already had 3 children lose their lives because they were left in a car here in Texas. 27 nationally is how many kids we've lost from being left in the back seat, but 3 here in Texas, 2 of those in the Corpus Christi area just a couple weeks ago. So, you know, it's science backed. It's based on these things of the short wave radiation coming in and that long wave radiation not being able to escape from the car. But it is a good reminder, you know, like as fun as it is to bake cookies and do the KXAN experiment, we need to be cautious even when temperatures drop to the lower 90s like they are this week, that we need to be careful of always checking the back seat.
Yes, it's always even hotter inside the vehicle.
And I'll end with this, Esme, as far as, you know, what we're dealing with this week, the 7-day forecast, like I mentioned, you can still run into problems of, you know, not only kids being left in the back seat with pets too. That is absolutely a no-no in the summertime here, really all season if we can avoid it. But this week is much, much better than what we've been looking at last week. We're talking about lower 90s for the next 6 days, if not even some upper 80s next week. But the rain chances are certainly helping to keep the temperatures down. That big old high pressure system that typically leaves us with those hot, dry, and fry pan conditions this time of year, that's actually shifted up to the Midwest. Some of the temperatures up in Chicago have been, you know, just as hot as we were here in Texas last week. So imagine being that far up in the lower 48 and dealing with 110 degree heat index. It's crazy, but you know, that heat's got to go somewhere. And selfishly, luckily, it's not here in Texas.
Yes.
This week, we've got those rain chances helping us out all week.
Yes, I'm so happy to see all those rain chances in the forecast. We've been missing our rain here in Austin.
We sure have. And I'll tell you what, even looking at the August rainfall numbers, we did well yesterday. Picked up 1/2 inch of rain downtown and out of the airport, but we're still about 3/4 of an inch behind where we should be for August. So this, I think, will do it. If we can get some of those showers to roll right on top of Austin, then I think we'll be in better shape. And obviously, we're always a little more selfish with the hill country rain too. We want the rain to fall over the watershed, and it does look like we'll at least have a few more opportunities for that.
Yes, of course. And I also wanted to mention, this is also a perfect reminder, like you mentioned, frying eggs on the floor outside is a reminder that when you have your puppies outside walking, it may be really hot on their paws, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's technically hotter on some of the pavement, those black asphalt surfaces for the same reason, and again, is that solar radiation going backwards. The color has something to do with that too. The ground that's black, like asphalt, is going to absorb and hold on to a lot more of that radiation from the sun than, let's say, a beige cement sidewalk or, you know, surface covered in snow. Snow actually has a pretty high, we call it albedo, where the sun rays gets reflected, that shortwave gets reflected, so it's not going to hold on to it. But yes, that's a really good point, Esme, is the fact that those paws, it's still with 90, you know, 92, 94 degree temperatures. We really don't want to be out there in the middle of the day. We want to definitely get those walks done early.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to read up on your Kristen's Classroom article, you wrote an amazing article on our website here on KXAN.com, and this is one of the pictures that he sent you, right?
I mean, I will definitely give the props to Charles. Charles, like I said, is a KXAN viewer who emailed me these photos, and I thought, hey, I want to do a science lesson on this. So I encourage you, if you guys at home have done any sort of experiment like this, if it's the kids in the classroom doing these experiments, shoot me an email, let me know, and we can talk about it not only here on KXAN.com on Facebook, but also on KXAN TV as well. I love when you guys give me those ideas because it's something you're interested in. It's obviously something I like to talk about.
And where can they send those in? I think we have an email address. right?
Yep, reported at KXAN.com is easy. I get all of those emails, or if you want to send it to me directly, Kristen.Currie@KXAN.com. But my email and bio is all online at KXAN.com if you're looking.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to have you here on Kristen's Classroom. Remind us, when do we do Kristen's Classroom weekly?
So it's going to be every Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. I will be here at KXAN.com and the KXAN Facebook page with Esme.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And that's all we have for y'all today on Kristen's Classroom. Remember, we have many more live streams scheduled for the rest of the day and on to the rest of the week. Don't forget to join us. We'd love to have you back. I'm Esmeralda Zamora, and this was KXAN Live.